The spaceship landed slowly on the royal platform of planet Velmora. Its surface was cold and shining under 3 purple moons. Guards stood tall in black armor, holding silver weapons. They watched the ship closely, waiting to see who would come out. The doors opened with a soft hiss. A young alien woman stepped out, tall and graceful, her skin a light shade of blue. Her name was Zira, daughter of Queen Velara, first princess of Velmora. She had been missing for 2 cycles, and now she had returned. But she did not come back the same. She carried a secret, one that could break her world, one that could start a war. She walked past the guards without fear, though her heart beat fast in her chest. Her long silver dress flowed behind her as she moved through the glowing halls of the palace. The walls were covered in gold symbols, telling stories of old battles and ancient kings. Statues of past rulers stood in silence, watching her as she passed. The royal court had been called for a special meeting. Zira's sudden return had shocked everyone. Whispers moved through the halls like wind through dry leaves. Some believed she was dead. Others thought she had betrayed the crown. She entered the throne room, where high council members sat in a half circle, and at the center, on a tall crystal throne, sat Queen Velara. She was strong, wise, and feared by many. Her eyes narrowed as she saw her daughter, but she gave no sign of emotion. Zira walked forward and bowed. Then she stood straight and looked at them all. "I have something to say," she said, loud enough for all to hear. The room fell silent. Zira looked around, her hands shaking slightly. But she spoke again, clear and bold. "I'm pregnant," she said. Gasps filled the hall like thunder. Before anyone could speak, she continued, "And the father is not one of us." She paused, then said the final words. "He is a human." The court exploded with voices. "What? A human? Impossible. You let a savage touch royal blood?" Queen Velara raised her hand and the room went quiet. She stood slowly, her eyes never leaving her daughter's face. "Zira," she said calmly, "what have you done?" Zira took a deep breath. "I was sent to Earth on a small mission, to observe their people and return. But something went wrong. My ship was attacked by space raiders, and I crashed. I was hurt, and I thought I would die. Then I saw him," she said softly. "His name is Jack. He carried me from the wreck, treated my wounds, and gave me food and water. He didn't know who I was, but he still helped me." Some council members shook their heads. "Humans are animals," one said. "They are violent, primitive, cruel." "No," Zira said, stepping forward. "Jack is not cruel. He is brave, strong, and kind. When one of our bounty hunters came to take me back, Jack fought him. He nearly died protecting me. He could have run away, but he didn't. He stayed, he fought, and he saved me. That's when I saw what humans really are. They are not perfect, but they are not monsters. They have pain, love, fear, and courage." The queen sat back down, her face still unreadable. "You say you love this man?" she asked. Zira nodded. "Yes," she said. "I do. You carry his child." "Yes." The queen closed her eyes. "This is dangerous," she said. "You have broken our laws. You have shamed your blood." "No," Zira said firmly. "I have followed my heart. I did not plan this, but it happened. And I will not hide it." A loud voice came from the side of the room. It was General Corvin, a strong and loyal warrior. "If this human steps foot on Velmora, it will be war," he said. "He has already killed one of ours." Zira turned to him, her eyes sharp. "Only because your man tried to take me by force. Jack didn't want to fight, but he will defend what he loves." The queen looked at her daughter for a long time. Then she asked, "Where is he now?" Zira smiled for the first time. "He's here," she said. "He's waiting outside." The doors opened again, and footsteps echoed through the throne room. Everyone turned to look. A tall man entered, his skin rough and sun-touched, scars on his arms, eyes calm but watchful. He wore earth clothing, simple and strong. He looked at Zira, then at the queen, and then at the council. He said only 4 words, clear and strong. I came for her. The air smelled like burning metal. Zira opened her eyes to smoke, fire, and pain. She was hanging upside down in the wreckage of her ship. Sparks fell around her like angry fireflies. Her mind was dizzy. Her mission was simple: observe Earth from orbit and return. But a surprise attack from raiders had changed everything. She crashed hard in a forest of stone and trees. Her body ached, her leg was bleeding. Her arm was broken, her translator chip was glitching. She could barely move, her vision blurred. But then she saw something strange. A figure running toward the ship. It was tall, broad, and human. He wasn't wearing armor, not carrying weapons. But his eyes were alert like a soldier. Zira tried to scream, but her voice was weak. The human climbed the wreck, pulled open the door, and crawled inside. He found her, eyes wide in shock. She thought he might kill her, take her tech, or leave her to die. But instead, he said something. She couldn't understand the words. Her translator was broken, but his voice was calm, deep, steady. Then he reached out, gently. No, she whispered. Don't touch me. But her strength gave out. She fell into darkness. When she woke again, she was in a wooden cabin. The air was cold, but she was covered in warm fabric. Her wounds were cleaned, bandaged with strange earth materials. She tried to sit up, but her body screamed in pain. The human was there, sitting by a fire, cooking something over the flames. He looked over, noticed she was awake. Still alive, he said, smiling a little. Zira's translator clicked and buzzed. It was slowly repairing. She looked at him closely now. His hair was dark, beard rough, arms strong. He looked like a fighter but not a killer. There was something tired in his eyes, like someone who had lost too much. Where am I? She asked slowly. He pointed around. Montana woods. You fell hard. She frowned. Why? Help me. You were bleeding. I don't like seeing people die, he said simply. She narrowed her eyes. You knew I wasn't human. He nodded. Yeah, figured that out when I saw your blood glowing. Still helped me? He shrugged. Doesn't matter where you're from, you were hurt. Zira didn't speak for a while. This didn't match anything her people said about humans. Savage, dangerous, selfish. He was none of those. Or maybe he was the exception. What's your name? She asked. Jack, he said. And you? She hesitated. Zira, he smiled. Zira, that's different. Days passed. Jack cared for her, brought food, kept her warm. He didn't ask questions about her tech, her planet, or her mission. He just let her heal. Zira slowly learned his routine. He hunted for food, collected water, fixed broken tools. He wasn't rich, not even connected to Earth's armies. Just a man living far from cities, in peace, or trying to. Why do you live out here? She asked one evening. He looked at the fire. Too much noise in the world, he said. People hurting each other over stupid things. I lost people. She didn't ask more. She understood. Loss had no species. It belonged to all life. One night, Zira stepped outside the cabin. She looked up at the stars, missing home. She felt a strange ache in her chest. Not from her injuries, but from confusion. Why did she feel safe here? Why did she want to stay? She heard Jack's voice behind her. Miss the sky? She nodded. He stood next to her, both looking up. We look at the same stars, he said, but see different things. Zira smiled. Yes, but we feel the same. A week later, Zira's ship sent a signal. Her people had found her, but they didn't come for rescue. They came with a bounty hunter, ready to bring her back by force. The hunter landed at night. He wore black armor, held a plasma spear. He moved fast without sound. But Jack saw him first. He grabbed an old hunting rifle and faced the alien without fear. Zira screamed, "No, don't fight him. He's too strong." But Jack charged anyway. The fight was brutal. Jack was thrown against a tree, but got up bleeding. He shot the bounty hunter in the shoulder, slowing him down. Zira used her last energy to blast the enemy with a stolen weapon. The hunter fled. injured, calling for backup. Zira collapsed again. Jack caught her, holding her tightly. "Why did you fight him?" she asked weakly. He looked at her. "Because you're not just some alien anymore. You're mine to protect." Zira's heart pounded. In that moment, she knew something had changed forever. The night after the attack, Zira couldn't sleep. Her mind kept replaying the fight, the roar of the bounty hunter, the sound of Jack's body hitting the ground, the way he stood back up. Again and again. No human she had studied ever fought like that. He had no armor, no high-tech weapon, just raw will. He was injured now, lying on a makeshift bed with a cloth pressed to his ribs. His breath was shallow, but he didn't complain. Zira sat beside him, her fingers brushing his arm. Lightly. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you keep putting yourself in danger for me?" Jack opened one eye and gave a weak smile. "Because you matter," he said. Zira blinked. She had heard those words before, but never like this. Never from someone without a reason to say them. The next morning, Zira stood outside the cabin with her stolen alien communicator. She had two choices: call her people and beg for rescue, or destroy the device and stay hidden. Her hands trembled. Back home, she was a royal, a scientist, a symbol. Here, she was just a broken alien in the arms of a broken man. She crushed the device in her hand. The pieces fell to the forest floor like dead stars. Days passed. Jack's wounds healed slowly. Zira took care of him, now hunting, gathering, even cooking earth food with strange spices. She watched him work with his hands, build traps, fix broken engines. Humans were not the soft, lazy species her reports had claimed. One afternoon, Jack was chopping wood, shirtless in the sun. Zira caught herself staring at the scars on his back, deep, old, and painful looking. She asked gently, "You were in a war?" Jack paused, wiped sweat from his brow. "Yeah," he said. "Too many wars." "Did you lose people?" He nodded slowly. "My brother," he said, voice low. "He saved my life during a mission. Took the blast that was meant for me." Zira didn't speak. She just sat beside him, quietly sharing the silence. Pain was a language both their species understood. That night, they sat by the fire. Zira showed him how to draw star maps in the dirt. She told him stories of her world giant, floating gardens, sky rivers, and light storms. He listened like a child hearing magic. Then he laughed and said, "Your planet sounds like a dream." She smiled. "Yours is rough, but it has beauty too." Jack looked at her, his eyes dark and honest. "I thought aliens would be cold, emotionless," he said. "You're not." Zira turned to face him. "And I thought humans were savages," she said. "But you saved me. You fought for me. You made me feel safe. I've never met anyone like you." They sat close, the fire between them. No words, just warmth and quiet understanding. But peace was not built to last. A signal blinked in the sky, red and pulsing. Zira saw it and froze. "It's a tracking beacon," she said. "They're coming." Jack stood immediately. "Then we run." She shook her head. "They'll track our heat, our movement, even our heartbeat." Jack opened a hidden box beneath the floor, revealing weapons he hadn't used in years. "Then we don't run," he said, loading a rifle. "We fight." They moved fast, setting traps through the forest. Zira used her alien tech to power defense shields, cloak their cabin, and hack into scanners. Jack did the rest, digging, building, camouflaging. Together, they became a team when the first attackers arrived. They weren't bounty hunters. They were elite Velmoran soldiers. Zira recognized the symbol on their armor, the Queen's blades. "They're here to take me alive," she whispered. "Or dead," Jack replied. "We don't give them either." Battle was brutal. Zira fired plasma bolts. Jack used old Earth rifles and grenades. The forest lit up with fire and smoke. Trees fell, machines burned. Zira was hit in the leg. Jack's shoulder was bleeding again, but they didn't stop. Together, they pushed the soldiers back, until only silence remained. After the smoke cleared, Jack sat against a rock, holding His bleeding arm. Zira crawled to his side, her hands shaking. "You should have run," she said. "You're just human." Jack looked at her and grinned. "And you're just alien. But we're still alive." Zira leaned her head on his shoulder. "I've never felt this before," she whispered. He turned his head toward her. "Felt what?" "Home," she said. Later that night, under the stars, Zira held a small scanner over her body. She had been feeling strange, sick, tired, emotional. The scanner beeped once, slowly, then showed a soft green light. Her heart stopped. She stared at the screen, eyes wide, then whispered, "No, not now." She looked at Jack, who was asleep by the fire. She held her hand over her stomach. A new life had started inside her, part Volmaran, part human. She was carrying the impossible. And now she knew one thing for sure. She could never go back to who she was before. Not after this. Not after him. They didn't run anymore. Not because they couldn't, but because they wouldn't. Zira stood at the edge of a mountain cliff, her cloak whipping in the wind. Below her, Earth stretched out in shades of green and gray. Forests, rivers, cities, lights, noise, life. It was messy, loud, unpredictable, but it was beautiful. Behind her, Jack adjusted the rifle on his shoulder. "Another drone scan," he said, pointing to the sky. Zira narrowed her eyes. Small ships flew overhead, silent, sleek, Velmaran tech, scouting Earth, marking weak spots. Just like she once did. But this time, she wasn't the scout. She was the traitor, or maybe the rebel. They had found a hidden military outpost, one of Jack's old contacts from his special ops days. A woman named Sergeant Rivera, tough, scarred and suspicious of aliens. She didn't trust Zira at first, until she saw the scans. Hundreds of ships, cloaked and armed, waiting just beyond Earth's moon. Velmora was preparing to invade. "You really think they'll come all this way just to take you back?" Rivera asked. Zira shook her head. "They're not coming for me," she said. "They're coming for Earth." Zira stood in front of a small group of Earth commanders. She showed them maps, energy patterns, attack formations. "They'll land at your power grids first," she explained. "Then disable communication, then burn your leadership." "Why now?" someone asked. Zira answered, "Because Earth is ununited, chaotic, distracted. You have strength, but not order." Jack leaned forward. "But we do have anger," he said. "And we know how to use it." Preparations began underground. Bunkers reopened, satellites reactivated, old weapons polished and tested. But Earth had never fought aliens before, not like this. Velmaran tech was faster, smarter, and decades ahead. Zira helped reverse engineer her own ship's core, using it. Earth scientists built jammers, shields, and energy nets. She trained human pilots on how Velmaran ships moved, where their weak spots were, how to bring one down with less. Jack led ground squads, veterans, ex-Marines, survivalists, men and women who had nothing left to lose. "Fight dirty," he told them. "Fight smart. And if you have to die, make sure you take 10 of them with you." The first wave came without warning. Ships rained from the sky, fast, sharp, black as shadows. They hit power plants, military hubs, and defense satellites in seconds. Zira and Jack were near one of the landing sites. They ran into battle without hesitation. Zira's plasma blades burned through enemy armor. Jack moved like lightning, his old instincts sharper than ever. The two of them fought back to back, alien and human. One heart, one purpose. A Velmaran soldier tried to grab Zira by the throat. Jack tackled him, knocked him down. "Get your claws off her," he growled. The soldier hissed. "You protect this traitor?" Jack spat blood and smiled. "No," he said. "I protect my family." By the third day of invasion, Earth was still standing. Barely. Cities were burning. Skies were black, oceans boiling in some places. But resistance grew stronger. Earthlings fought like nothing Zira had ever seen. With fire, with steel, with rage. They didn't have lasers or starships. They had fists, fury, and a refusal to kneel. In some places, civilians threw bricks at armored invaders. In others, old men with hunting rifles took down flying scouts. One child hacked into a Velmoran drone with a gaming laptop. Zira watched it all in awe. "This planet," she whispered, "it doesn't die easy." Then came the message from the Queen herself. It appeared in Earth's orbit as a glowing beacon, projected in every language at once. "Return Zyra to us, and we will leave you in peace. Harbor her, and your world will be turned to ash." Zyra stood in silence. Her eyes locked on the glowing words. Everyone looked at her, some with fear, others with anger. Even Rivera asked, "Is it true? You're the reason they're here." Zyra nodded. "Yes," she said, "but I'm also the reason you still have a chance." Jack stepped forward. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "If they want her, they'll have to go through all of us," he said. "And that's not gonna be easy." Zyra's hand touched her stomach gently. She hadn't told Jack yet. Not now. Not while the sky was still falling, but soon. Because she wasn't just fighting for Earth or for Jack. She was fighting for something far more powerful. For a future that no one expected. A child that could unite two worlds or destroy both. The rebellion had begun, and there was no turning back. The cave was cold and silent, deep under the Rocky Mountains. Zyra stood alone near the glowing wall, waiting. She had activated a hidden Velmoran signal, one she swore never to use again. Behind her, Jack waited outside, not knowing what she was doing, not knowing what she was risking. Then the light changed, and a voice filled the cave. Not loud but cold and commanding. "Zyra Velmora, you broke protocol, abandoned your mission, and violated species law." It was her old mentor, Commander Rawl. His image hovered in the air, flickering like a ghost. "I didn't come to beg," Zyra said firmly. "I came to warn." Commander Rawl narrowed his silver eyes. "Earth is not your home. Your time there has poisoned your loyalty. They're planning a full invasion." She said, "I know the fleet's positions. I know the plan. I'm offering a chance, call it off." Rawl laughed softly. "You are protecting a dying planet," he said. "You're protecting one human." Zyra's voice shook. "I'm protecting a future you're too afraid to imagine." A pause. Then the commander's voice grew sharp. "We gave you a choice," he said. "You've made it." The signal ended. The light faded. Zyra stood in darkness, knowing what she had just done. She didn't just betray her people. She declared war against them. Outside, Jack saw her walking back with that look in her eyes. The same one she had after the first attack. The look of someone carrying a storm inside. "What did you do?" he asked. Zyra looked him in the eyes. "I warned them," she said. "They didn't listen." Jack nodded. "Then it's war," he said simply, and neither of them looked away. Over the next days, Earth began to change, all over the globe. Strange objects appeared in the sky, long black marks like shadows on the clouds. Velmoran scouts, silent and watching. They didn't attack yet, they waited. Governments were slow, arguing. Some called it a hoax, others wanted peace talks, but in the dark places, the woods, bunkers, deserts, people were preparing. Zyra and Jack went underground, not to hide, but to build. Zyra shared data from her ship's AI. Jack reached out to old contacts. Ex-soldiers, hackers, survivalists, rogue scientists. They called themselves the Edgeburn humans, who lived on the edge of civilization, and now had nothing left to lose. They trained with alien weapons, rewired satellites. Zyra gave them cloaking fields, shield codes, and weak points in Velmoran. Armor. Jack taught them how to move, how to hit, how to disappear. "They've got tech," he said. "We've got rage." One night, Zyra sat alone outside the base, looking at the stars. She hadn't told Jack yet. Her fingers rested on her stomach gently. She could feel it now, not just with machines, but with her heart. A heartbeat, not hers, not his, but both. A child, not alien, not human. Something in between, something new. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I'll protect you, no matter what it costs." Then it came, the first strike without warning. 6 Velmoran dropships entered Earth's atmosphere. Cities lost power, communication towers fried, water systems failed. The world fell into chaos in less than 30 minutes. And then came the announcement broadcast across the sky in every language. A voice from the Velmoran Empress herself. You were warned, you refused, now we will cleanse your planet. Starting with the ones who betrayed us. Every soldier heard it. Every child, every parent, every leader. Zira stepped onto the command platform in the bunker. People stared at her, not with trust, but with fear. Why are they doing this? One asked, because of her. Another whispered, she didn't deny it. She raised her voice, strong and clear. Yes, they're coming for me. But they're also coming because they fear what Earth represents. Chaos, emotion, choice, freedom. And they fear the future growing inside me. Everyone fell silent. Until Jack stepped forward and said, then let them come. We'll show them Earth doesn't kneel. The rebellion wasn't global yet, but it had a name, it had a face, and now it had a reason. Not just survival, not just pride, but the birth of something new. Zira wasn't just fighting for Earth anymore. She was fighting for her child. Zira was running. The sky above her burned blue and gold. She wasn't on Earth, or Velmora. This place wasn't real. It was something in between. She heard Jack's voice calling her name, but she couldn't see him. All she saw was light. And then a shadow, a small figure, standing alone in the middle of the fire. A child, its eyes were glowing with stars. Not human, not alien, something new, something dangerous. Protect it, said a voice behind her. Then everything turned to black. She woke up gasping, her hand on her stomach. The heartbeat was still there, steady and quiet. But the dream left. A warning in her bones, something big was coming. Something she wasn't ready for. In the underground base, tension was thick. People argued, plans changed, supplies ran low. They had survived the first wave, but barely. Velmoran's ships now circled Earth like vultures. Zira walked through the war room silently. Everywhere she went, eyes followed her, some filled with respect, others with fear. She was the one who had brought the fight to Earth, and now they were losing. Jack watched her from the doorway. He saw the weight on her face, the way her hands trembled when no one was looking. He walked up and gently touched her arm. You haven't told them yet, have you? He asked. Zira shook her head. Not yet, she whispered. They'll see it as weakness. Jack stared at her, then placed her hand on his chest. Then tell me again why we're doing all this. She didn't speak, but he felt her answer in the silence. Later that night, a signal appeared. Not an attack, not yet, but a message from the Queen of Velmora. Directly to Zira. She played it in private, standing alone in the data chamber. The Queen's voice filled the air, cold as glass. You are carrying a child that does not belong in our world or theirs, but we offer you a choice. Return to us now, surrender the human, and we will protect the child. Earth will be left alone. Resist, and we will turn your child's future into ash. Zira's knees went weak. Her mother, the woman who raised her, was threatening her unborn child. The message ended, and for the first time since the war began, Zira felt afraid. She met with Jack on the base roof, under the broken sky. Wind howled through broken antennas and twisted metal. She told him everything. They know, she said. They know about the baby. Jack stood still, his jaw tight. Then it's real, he said. Zira nodded, tears in her eyes. They're giving me a way out, she whispered. If I leave you, they'll spare Earth. The words hung in the air like poison. Jack didn't speak right away. Then he said, and what did you say? I said nothing yet. Jack looked at her, not angry, but honest. I won't stop you, he said. If you go, I won't follow. Zira took a step closer. You think I'd choose them over you? I think you're scared, he replied. And I think you should be. She placed his hand on her belly. Then let's be scared together, she said, because I'd rather burn with you than kneel beside them. The next day, the Velmoran ambassador arrived not in peace, but as a threat in golden armor. He walked into Earth's base with royal authority. Everyone stared as he faced Zira. "You have until the next moon cycle," he said. "Surrender the child, or Earth falls." Zira stared at him coldly. "You should be more worried about what happens if we don't." After he left, she turned to the Earth generals. "This isn't just a war," she said. "This is evolution. This child is the first bridge between worlds. If we give up now, we give up every future where peace is possible." The room was quiet. Even those who had doubted her before now listened. Because she wasn't just speaking as a warrior, she was speaking as a mother. That night, Jack held her close, outside. The Earth trembled under the pressure of alien power. Inside, something stronger grew. The war would get worse. They would lose people. But they would not lose hope, because for the first time in history, Earth and Velmora had a common heartbeat. And it was still growing, still strong, still waiting to be born. And in that fight, humanity found its spark. Because when everything is taken away, that's when humans fight the hardest. And that's when Velmora will learn what it means to challenge a planet full of savages with hearts. Asterisk. The sky above Velmora was silent, too silent. No ships moved, no music played. Even the wind felt rehearsed. Zira stood in the royal landing chamber, dressed in black ceremonial robes, not for honor, but for judgment. She had not been welcomed home. She had been summoned around her. Tall figures watched in silence. Council members, generals, priests, and nobles, all masked, all cold. To them, she was not a princess anymore. She was the outsider, the shame, the warning, and behind her, standing, like defiance wrapped in muscle and scars, was Jack. No armor, no weapons, just his earth clothes, his proud eyes, and the silent message in his stance. "I'm not afraid of you." They were led through the palace gates, not by guards but by drones. Even the staff refused to touch them. Jack whispered, "Is it always this dramatic?" Zira didn't smile. "No," she said. "This is special. This is what they do before an execution." The throne room was made of white stone, carved from the bones of ancient creatures. Stories said it echoed the truth. Any lie spoken in this room would make the speaker bleed. At the far end sat the queen, Valara of Velmora. Tall, timeless, her silver crown glowing like a star, her eyes locked on Zira, piercing. Calm, cruel. Zira stepped forward, hands folded, back straight. She bowed not deeply, just enough to show she remembered her place. "But no more than that, mother," she said. The queen's voice filled the chamber like a cold river. "You return not as daughter, not as princess, not as citizen. You return as a problem." Zira did not flinch. "I return as a truth," she replied. "A truth your empire is too afraid to face." Whispers filled the room, but the queen silenced them with a glance. "And what truth is that?" Zira turned and gestured to Jack. "That he is not your enemy, that Earth is not beneath us, and that our child is not a mistake." Gasps again. Even Jack shifted. He hadn't known she would speak of it here now. But she stood firm. "I carry the future," Zira said. Asterisk. The child was born during a storm. Not a storm of weather, but of silence. Velmora had gone quiet. Earth had gone still. Across two worlds, trillions waited, breathless. In a hidden chamber beneath the mountains of Earth, Zira gripped Jack's hand. Her skin glowed faintly. The baby's heartbeat echoed through the machines, faster than human, stronger than Velmoran, something new. Jack whispered, "You've got this." Zira nodded, sweat on her brow, fire in her eyes. She wasn't just giving birth, she was changing the universe. The child's first cry was not loud, but it pulsed through the walls, through the air, through the stars. And somewhere in the stars, the queen closed her eyes and gave the order, "Prepare the fleet." The next day, Earth's sky changed. Hundreds of Velmoran ships emerged from the void, positioned in orbit, silent, unblinking, unstoppable. They didn't fire, they waited. Jack and Zira stood outside the bunker, wrapped in armor and fear. The child slept in a hidden cradle of energy, protected by both alien shield and Earth tech. "They'll land soon," Jack said, watching the clouds twist unnaturally. Zira nodded. They want a final answer. Behind them, the Earth Rebellion stood ready, fighters, hackers, medics, mothers, outlaws, and old soldiers, not united by race or flag, but by will, by love, by rage. Then, without warning, a giant ship landed in a crater of light. And from it walked the Queen of Velmora herself, alone, unguarded, wearing white instead of armor. The crowd parted as she approached Zira. No one spoke. Even Jack didn't move. The Queen's voice was soft but carried across the wind. You chose the child, Zira nodded. I chose everything the child could be. The Queen looked at Jack, then at the people behind him. Do you trust them with its future? Jack stepped forward. No, he said. I don't. I trust us with it. A council circle was formed right there, in the middle of burned soil and human sweat. Zira, Jack, the Queen, and Earth's leaders sat beneath an open sky. They had 12 hours to choose, peace or war. Inside the command tent, the child lay quietly. A strange energy came from its tiny body. Some humans who touched the cradle felt calm, others wept. A few saw memories that were not their own. The baby wasn't speaking, yet it was already saying something. Something impossible, something real, outside. The talks broke down. An Earth general shouted, "We don't negotiate with threats," a Velmoran priest hissed. "We don't let broken bloodlines lead our empire." Jack stood and silenced them all. "You're all afraid," he said. "You want guarantees. But this kid, it's not here to be your soldier or your symbol. It's here to live." Zira looked up, her voice shaking. "We'll raise the child somewhere neither of you can control. No flags, no empires, no orders. Just us," the Queen stared at her daughter, then asked the final question. "And when the child is old enough to choose, will you let it?" Zira didn't blink. "Yes," she said, "even if it chooses to destroy us all." A silence fell over both worlds. Then the Queen turned away from the table and raised her arm. A signal shot into the sky, one that would reach all fleets, all outposts, all systems. The order: stand down. That night, the skies cleared for the first time in weeks. Ships returned to the stars. Weapons were powered down. But the tension didn't disappear. Peace was not a celebration. It was a challenge. It would be tested again and again. But something had changed, and everyone felt it in one moment. Two species had paused the cycle of violence for one child. For one choice. Months later, deep in a neutral system, Zira and Jack lived in a quiet dome surrounded by alien trees and earth soil. They grew food, trained, learned, and waited. The child named Lyre was learning both languages, both cultures, both powers. Jack once said, "Do you think we did the right thing?" Zira looked at him and replied, "I don't know, but we did the brave thing." And far beyond, in places unseen, others were watching, other races, other empires. They had heard the story. An alien princess, a savage man, a child that made two worlds kneel without a weapon. Some feared it, others hoped. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never forget that the strongest force in the universe was not technology, not blood, not war. It was love, spoken without permission, lived without fear, and born in the middle of fire. Not just mine or his, but ours. The Queen's face did not move, but her hand lifted slightly, and a panel in the floor opened. From it rose a projection, a glowing image of the child's DNA, scanned and displayed for the court to see. The strands twisted, one side alien, the other human. In the center, something new, unknown, unpredictable. "The child," the Queen said, "has potential to disrupt our balance, to carry instincts we cannot control, to divide our society, our genetics, our bloodline." Jack stepped forward finally. He didn't bow. He just looked her in the eye. "Or maybe it carries the one thing you've all forgotten," he said. "Choice." A murmur moved through the council. No one spoke to humans here, certainly not as equals. But Jack wasn't here to kneel, and Zira was done begging. Then The queen stood slowly, and for a moment, she didn't speak as ruler but as mother. Do you know what it means to raise a child across species, across cultures, across war? It is not peace, it is exile. It is not unity, it is confusion. Zira stepped closer. And yet, she said, I was raised to bring peace to the stars. Let me do it. Let us do it. The queen's eyes studied her daughter not just her words, but her soul. Then she turned her gaze to Jack. What would you do if we took her from you? Jack clenched his fists. I'd burn every moon in your sky to get her back. The queen didn't react. She walked toward Zira and placed her hand on her belly. The room held its breath. She spoke quietly. Then the child will live, but not here. Not yet. Zira stared at her, unsure. What do you mean? The queen turned and addressed the room. This child is dangerous, she said, but also necessary. It will not be raised in one world, it must be raised in both. It will decide the fate of both species, not today, but one day. Zira stepped back in shock. So you won't stop the war? The queen's voice dropped. I will pause it. Long enough for one life to grow. After that, your child must speak for both. Zira and Jack left the throne room with no cheering. No ceremony, only silence, but it was not the silence of death. It was the silence before something new. Something that had never existed before. Something that could either save two worlds or end them both. And inside her, the heartbeat continued, steady, strong, waiting to decide its place. In the stars,